So why higher data rate? We all of us know that why higher data rates are important or why higher data rates are actually needed. So in terms of optical, we'll just have a brief introduction. Future of high-speed optical technology, we'll discuss the challenges, what are kind of challenges in the link designing, and these challenges in terms of designing we'll discuss. I'm again and again saying this is the discussion because all of you are even much more mature than we were all the similar type of faculty members or the research scholars, those who are doing. If you have any doubt, if you have any thought that, okay, this is not possible, then we can discuss that. So I'm going to discuss all these points, the challenges in the design of high-speed links. Is there any question?
Hello. Sorry.
Hello?
Sorry, Doctor. I'm really sorry to everybody. Sorry to interrupt, Dr. Vinita.
Yes.
I got an issue with the audio and now I'm fixed. And if possible, can I continue or I can continue in the next session?
Okay. I think our participants already waited for half an hour. So shall I
I'm
start
really
now?
sorry to everybody. There was a network issue on our side and audio was not getting connected. If you please allow me, I can.
Okay, we'll start your session, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vinita. And I'm really sorry to all the audiences.
So you can share your presentation, sir. Dr. Sandeep, you can share your presentation now.
Yes, ma'am, I am doing. Is my screen visible?
No, not yet.
No, sir. Actually, now I've been added as a host. Just give me a minute. Can you please give me the host rights, ma'am?
Okay, I'll ask.
In the meantime, very good afternoon to everybody. And first of all, my apologies for not being able to connect to the system. What I'll be talking about is, I'll be talking about the technologies, the key technologies, the challenges for the 5G technologies, and specifically I'll be talking about the various aspects of device-to-device communication, which is widely used as a fifth generation communication technology, and the role of AI. How can we integrate the AI and the photonics into these applications? Ma'am, can you give me the sharing rights?
We are giving, sir. We are giving.
Ma'am, should I send you the PPTs with?
Okay, that also we can do. Otherwise, we are making you host as well.
Okay,
If that is the issue.
Sure.
Sir, I think you are a host now.
Okay, sir. I'm just trying that.
Sir, screen is visible, just open PPT.
It's not visible, sir. The screen is not visible. Sir, can you hear us? Dr. Sandeep? I think he's disconnected also. I think again there's a problem from his side. Not sure what to do. We'll go back to our, this is the good thing that we can again go back to our own lecture. So we are really sorry to all the participants, those who are fluctuating between the lectures. But I hope you can understand this kind of situation. So we talked about all these things. So these are the things which have been already discussed by my seniors, or you can say by the professors. I'll give you some basic data. What are the changes in Indian scenario in terms of COVID-19? So if I'll give you number, due to COVID-19 in 2020 data, if I give you fixed number, there's a 13% increase in the data hike, right? And that was especially recorded in the March 2020, if I would say, there's a single rise of 9% between March 21 and March 22. So we can understand that how much data is needed. We all know that, okay, we can transmit, we can transmit the data, video and all. But after COVID-19, we have assumed that lot more data is needed, and the only solution for this kind of data is the optical fiber. So there's a huge, you can say, demand of optical fibers in not only in the backbone network, but also in the fiber to home network. Like user want the fiber from their endpoint. Then only this much data demand is fulfilled. And another interesting thing in this kind of, you can say, survey is that maximum data consumed by the industry is the education industry. In this last 1 year, maximum data consumption is from the education industry. My voice is clear to all of you? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Continue.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So all these numbers I have written, that is, you can say before my COVID research, that 40% data increase, bandwidth demand is increasing. So how to achieve that high much data rate? Again, by increasing the data speeds from 10 Gbps to 40 Gbps to 100 Gbps, by increasing the WDM and DWDM systems, that is, we all know the theoretical aspect. But the other important aspect is whatever we are going to design, like if we are going to design DWDM system, they should have some kind of compatibility with the existing system. That is, ITU standard they have to follow. Otherwise, all over full investment, it's not possible in any case. Right? So
Yes,
ITU key specifications that will be fulfilled. Is there any question?
Vendor sir, do you have any question?
Hello, ma'am.
Ji, yes, Mahesh and Nirmal ji.
I am Mininath Bendri here, ma'am.
Mininath.
Question regarding this big data.
Yes.
Means these fiber optics are transmitting too much high data speeds, right?
Right.
But nowadays there are big data systems are there to analyze something. So can these kind of fibers are used to analyze the big data?
Let me clear these two conditions. Like whatever we are discussing in fiber optics and optical communication, we are talking about the physical layer models or physical transmission. That means we are transmitting the signal, right? And the big data term, which is mostly used nowadays, it is for the higher layer terms. Right? Data is available. We are talking about the signal, sir.
Okay. Means,
So these are the two terms we can say, and definitely big data and all. Big data is a term which is used in the higher end layers.
Yeah, I am from the computer engineering background. So this kind of concept is related to electronics, more mainly
Yes.
fiber optic and these are.
Actually, you cannot say it's electronics, sir. You can say we are dealing with the signals now.
Yeah.
We are providing you the signals.
right.
We are talking about the baud rate. We are talking. We are
Yes.
talking about the baud rate. You are talking about the bit rate.
Okay. My question
Only
is,
that.
can we store these signals as a huge amount?
That is a storage purpose, sir. We are that is a
Why?
storage aspect.
Because of when we try to classify these signals, we can easily apply the machine learning approach on that. But we need these signals to classify purpose. So is it possible to store these signals anyway?
I will definitely answer your question, sir. First, I'll briefly tell you that how the signals are processing and how these things will be calculated. I will definitely discuss your question in this lecture. Right?
Yes,
So
yes.
let me proceed with this.
Continue your lecture.
Yes. So first, as I said, we are dealing with the signals in this case. So the fiber optics, or you can say they are mostly dealing with the 5G wireless technology. All those aspects are definitely there. What are the future of this kind of technology, you can say? That is your all optical networks. And why we all need all optical networks? Because signal processing, that is optical to electronic to optical conversion, will introduce lot of delay, and we don't want this delay. We don't want the loss in conversion. So all optical networks, or you can say all optical transmission, is the ultimate aim for us. Then again, WDM, DWDM techniques are used, or it has been utilized for many years for the long distance transmission and to increase the data capacity. Another interesting aspect is orbital angular momentum. Okay, so what is this orbital? In this case, we all of you are very. Yes, Dr. Vanathi, do you have any question?
ನಾನು ತಪ್ಪಗಡೆ ಇಟ್ಟು ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಇಟ್ಟು ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ಲ
I think, Madam, can you mute yourself? So what is orbital angular momentum multiplexing? This is basically a physical layer concept. In this case, the angular momentum is one of the form of angular momentum of light, which is used for this multiplexing, right? So this is another kind of technique but currently only at the laboratory basic. There is no commercial aspect till now had been explored for this OM type of multiplexing. Then another interesting aspect is your radio over fiber. So how this is different from digital transmission, which we talked about. This is in this case of analog transmission of optical signals, right? So radio over fiber is one of the important aspect, or you can say one of the important communication medium of communication in which we are transmitting the analog transmission over fiber optic cables. So this has been used, radio over fiber is the term which is widely used in CATVs, that is cable television, satellite base station. But in this case, ROF transmission, basically it's defining mainly two categories, right? So how is that? Radio over fiber and IF over fiber. Okay, so the only difference we can say that the type of frequency we are changing. The type of frequency which is used in this type of transmission will differentiate this name. So in this case, if I would say that for this radio over fiber, around 10 gigahertz is the frequency, and this is IF over fiber is the lower frequency which will be used. I think all of you are aware of these terms, that so we can say that less than 10 gigahertz is the concept which is IF over fiber. So these are the few aspects which we are aware of. Now the thing is how to increase this capacity, how to increase this data transmission further through the fiber cables. So before that, we should know what are the challenges which we have to overcome for the meeting this data rate. All of you are aware about the spectrum efficiency. That means how efficiently we utilize the spectrum of our available spectrum. Power management and spectral management, these are the two conditions which we have to fulfill. But before that, we should know the problems in our optical communication. So as in previous lectures, we have observed that Shannon capacity theorem cannot be applicable in optical communication. Why is that so? Because of non-linearity. So what are the non-linearities? The main element of non-linear effect, or you can say Kerr effect, we used to call it as a self-phase modulation. This is for single channel systems. Cross-phase modulation, XPM, we usually call it as a XPM, and four-phase mixing. These are the, you can say, terms which are widely used, and I hope we all are aware of these terms. But how to manage them? Because the non-linearities are coming. Why non-linearities are coming? Because the intensity of the light inside the fiber is increasing. And why this intensity is increasing? Because the core of the fiber is very small, right? So if I would say, write down that if non-linear refractive index would be written as N2 P by A effective, right? So this A effective is small, that is the intensity that I will be increased, and this non-linear refractive index will be responsible for this all Kerr effect. But along with non-linear effect, there are linear effects, that is dispersion, loss of the fiber, and we have seen that till now this much loss is available. So we have to compensate. But this kind of losses we can easily compensate. Dispersion also can be compensated. But these non-linear effects, the Kerr effects, are difficult to manage. Okay. So again, how to achieve. So how to achieve this much higher data rate? Either we can go with the efficient modulation techniques. Why I am calling them efficient modulation techniques? Because either they have good capability of withstanding along with RZ and you can say with the nonlinear effects. Like if basic RZ and RZ, if we can talked about, we know that which one is having better. So along with them, any other modulation formats are available or not. Second method could be we can use different fiber types. Instead of single mode fibers, standard single mode fiber, if any other type of fibers are available, we can explore them also. That will be again possible. More robust pulse shapes. Okay, so more robust pulse shapes, or you can say efficient. There is a difference between these two terms is that in the previous session, there was one doubt that soliton can be used. So we talked about that concept here. If soliton transmission can be used for data transmission, how this is different? Well, that will be useful for us, or we can use it or not. Okay, but whatever kind of solution we are providing, they should be spectrally efficient and economical solutions. From engineers, that is expected that we have to provide the economical solutions. But anyway, we have to provide the data hungry applications. We have to manage that much data rate. So we have to compromise on something or the other. So one by one, we'll discuss about few of these aspects. So one of them, you can say one of the modulation format we can talk about is the DO binary pulse shape. Okay. Another could be your QPSK, DQPSK, and this DPDQPSK, that is dual polarized QPSK. Now we have seen that if this possible to use these pulses and what are the challenges in using them and how we can design the link using those transmissions. Okay. So before knowing the, you can say results, or before discussing the results, I would like to tell you that how the data transmission in the optical fiber is observed. Right. So I have already written one equation of the data pulse propagation in optical fiber. Are you people are aware of the chirp? What is chirp? Is anyone? What is tripping in the pulse? If someone is doing in the physical mode, they must be having this idea.
Frequency variation across the pulse.
Right, sir. Right, sir. So tripping, if we assume that whatever frequency we are launching in the fiber, they are constant with time. But chirp is the factor change in the frequency with time. So ideally, we don't want this kind of, you can say change, random changes of this kind we don't want. If the frequency is changing and we were not aware of that, that will be not be appreciated. But if that can be used to, you can say, help our transmission, that we can observe here. So pre-chirping means we are providing certain kind of chirping in the initial pulse shape, right? So this is a Schrodinger equation which is used for, you can say, nonlinear Schrodinger equation, pulse propagation in the optical fiber, where A is the amplitude of Gaussian input pulse, beta 2 is your group velocity dispersion parameter, right? This is your nonlinear constant, and this is your attenuation constant. I think those who are doing in this domain, if this is again, if I would say all this is known to all of you, or should I directly go to the results? If this seems too basic, the flow is correct.
It's useful, ma'am.
Are you able to relate that? Okay, so you just stop me whenever you feel that, okay, this is not at all related, or this is not at all, we are not able to relate. We can again go back and slow down. So in this case, I'm just making you aware of that if we have theoretical concept correct, if we are doing the simulation in those aspects, it is possible to design the links, right? So these are the, you can say, formulae which are available in the literature. Very good literature is available. From that, there itself, I have taken these formula. So beta 2 is again can be represented in terms of dispersion. This is your GVD. This is your group velocity dispersion. Okay. So this is your group velocity dispersion. We can show like this. So for standard single mode fibers, which we frequently use, this D, or you can say the Corning industry, if we can use the fiber from there, this is around 17 dB per. This is the number which I'll show you in the simulation also, but I'll show you in this slide that how this is different for different fibers. Okay. So according to that, we have to decide the dispersion length. We have to decide the nonlinear length, right? So what do you mean by dispersion length? The dispersion length is nothing but your T naught is the pulse width. Okay, so dispersion length is nothing but the length after that your dispersive phenomena take over the transmission. Okay, after that your dispersive effect will take over the pulse. Nonlinear length is nothing but after that your nonlinearities will dominate the transmission, and that will be decided by the P naught, that is the peak power, and the nonlinear coefficient. So from this we can say that if you increase the power, your LNL will decrease, right? So now we understand that in fiber optics, we have to take care of this power management. How much power we can use for transmission in guided fiber medium. L effective length of the fiber will be defined by this 1 exponential minus L by L. This is the loss of the fiber that cannot be neglected. So these are the few, you can say, formula which are, you can say, all of us should know. So I'm showing the one, you can say, block diagram for this transmission module of 40 Gbps transmission of RZ Gaussian pulse, right? This is done in the simulator model, and again the theoretical concept which just now we have discussed will be used. So in this case, I'm showing that PRBS generator is there, continuous. I'll show you some of the parameter. I should write down some of the, you can say, numbers, so that you will be able to relate that what are the parameters we have selected in this kind of model designing. I think tomorrow we have one lab session also. We'll try to design those links. But before that, if I'll show you some numbers, that this link is designed for 50-50 nanometer. Okay. So attenuation, again, standard attenuation has been considered. That is for 0 dB per kilometer. Dispersion is slope has been considered in this case is 0.7 picosecond nanometer square per kilometer. Nonlinear refractive index which has been considered is 3 into 10 to the power minus 20 the square by power. Core effective area, this is A effective, is considered as 60.80 micrometer square. So these are the standard parameters which we have taken. Extension ratio for this has been considered as 20 dB, and along with the loss of 3 dB has been considered. So we were trying to accommodate as much real data as possible, so that the whatever results we are getting will be as much theoretically, you can say, better.
Ma'am,
Yes,
is it a single mode fiber?
it's a single mode fiber, sir.
The dispersion slope is 0.7. I
So
found
your
that
dispersion slope, sir, that will be your minus 17 only.
No, it is 0.07. That's that is the 0.08. Actually, I found some data sets.
Okay,
Seems-
so you are saying is okay, we'll check that is a 0.07 or 0.7, but in
Yes,
this
ma'am.
particular design, we have taken the 0.7. Definitely,
Okay,
if we
okay.
have literature, we can check that as well. Okay,
Yes, sir.
but
Okay.
just for the number, I'm saying definitely you may have done something.
Yes, actually, from Agarwal book I sent. That's why.
Yes. That is
Okay,
a
okay.
very good book. That is very good book, and we have to explore the things from there. That
Okay, thank you.
they are presenting some real data as well. That is very one of the important aspect that they are presenting some of the real data. So in this case, other parameters which was considered for this designing is that different duty cycle of that RZ Gaussian pulse. That is 33%. Why we are using different aspects? We are checking that which pulse shape at which duty cycle will can transmit for a longer distance. Because our ultimate aim in this concept is to design the link, single channel link basically for long distance transmission. Okay, and so what are the parameters which can contribute to this? So in this case, what we are checking is the different duty cycles. Through this duty cycle, what are the initial pulse width, what are the dispersion length for that, and how this tripping effect will influence that. Okay, so let me tell you very briefly that how beta 2 and C can relate to each other, or you can say affect the concept. So can you tell, sir, how this beta 2 and C combination will impact our design if no other nonlinearities will be present? Anyone, if they have idea? If we compensate either of the you can say either nonlinearities or the linearities, how this beta 2C impact the designing?
Actually, if you get beta 2 is less than 0 and C is positive, then beta self phase modulation and GVD they will cancel and soliton will be provided.
Okay.
Beta that is one thing. And another way, if beta 2 is greater than 0,
Okay.
that is then it will be some broadening, more broadening.
Okay. Okay. So, okay, I think you are considering for soliton, but let me tell you, this is not for soliton communication. This is for RZ Gaussian pulse. In this case, we are not making, you can say, our beta 2 0. Okay. So in this case, beta 2 is not 0, but I'm saying that this is design is for 1550 nanometer. Okay. So minus 17 dB per kilometer per nanometer has been considered, -7. So at 1550, anomalous dispersion is there in the single mode fiber. And if your chirping is also positive, then it will be your negative term. Okay. So if this is your negative term, then your pulse will be compressed. Now, we don't have option of changing this beta 2. If we are using the standard single mode fiber SSMF, they definitely be always be negative. So we have an option of designing this. So if we use this as a positive, or you can say if you use as a negative, so negative will be your positive. In that case, what will happen? Your pulse will be broadened, faster broadening. Okay, so same thing is written over there. Then monotonically broaden and compressed till Z minimum and then broaden. The broadening will be happening when your beta 2 is negative and C is negative. Okay. And Z, what is Z minimum? That we also see that after that, your pulse will not be able to compressed. Okay, so this is the variation, the formula which we have discussed right now, that linear, non-linear length with the power. So this is the peak power variation, and this is the variation with the nonlinear length. As we keep on increasing the power, how the length will be impacted. So we have to design our models according to our requirement, and how much power we are increasing, we should take care of that. Okay. So these are the results which I was talking about with that all theoretical backup. Q factor versus peak power plot is there. In this case, what the designing parameter or the designing flexibility which we have is the C only. So this trip we are keeping for some duration as negative and for the other duration as positive, and we were checking that how much power can be increased so that long distance communication can be possible. So this is for 33% duty cycle. And from this, we can say that when the C is positive, your trip is positive, in that case, you can say lowest Q factor can be achieved, right? So lowest Q factor, that means this is not a suitable condition for us for the long distance transmission. If we are using SSMF type of fiber, we have to go with the negative side, because if it's a positive side, there's a broadening of pulsing. And if the pulses keep on broadening, then it's not possible for us to make the transmission link. So from these results, we have observed that for the 33%, better to go with the negative dispersion, because a negative trip, because in this case, C is equal to -1. In this case, we are just checking for the peak power versus Q. Okay, we have to again use this for the link design. Similarly, we observe for the different duty cycles. In this case also, we have observed that for C positive, the Q factor also decreases. And what is this? This dotted line is showing. This is the minimum Q required in optical communication. Okay, theoretically minimum Q required is 6. And how that is coming from? VR expected is 10 to the power -9, if I am saying. So that this line is showing that minimum this much is needed. And what about with C positive and C negative we are getting? So in this case around 30. These are theoretical, you can say. This is just we are checking with the, in case of all other parameters are compensated, right? We are checking only in case of self phase modulation. That means we are compensating fully dispersion. Dispersion has been fully compensated. And how this dispersion is compensated here? From the block diagram also we can say using FPG gratings. Okay, so dispersion is fully compensated. Only the non-linear effect has been observed in this 50% duty cycle pulse. So in this case also similar kind of pattern is observed. Then again for 66. But the interesting thing is, when we keep on increasing the duty cycle, this Q factors start increasing, although this is lowest for C1 and highest for C -1. Okay, so our observation from this kind of result, we can observe that if you increase the duty cycle, let's suppose 66% is the duty cycle, and if you go with the minus of trip, that will be better condition for us for the long distance transmission when the link is only dominated by non-linear effects. Okay, this is we have to keep in mind. This link is only dominated by the non-linear effects. No other effect is there. Okay, this particular graph is for the comparative analysis of different duty cycle with a negative trip. Okay. Is there any question? Because in my full screen, I'm not able to check your chats. So if any question is there, we can discuss. Okay, we will take the questions in the last. Yeah, and in the meantime, if you have question, you can please speak up. That will be easier for me. Okay, so this is the comparative graph for all three duty cycles with C -1 and with the peak power versus Q factor. In this case also, we have observed that 33% duty cycle pulse is at the lowest side, and this 66.67% or around is duty cycle is at the higher end. So if we have to use this for data transmission, we have to go with this type of pulse. Now we are checking that how much is possibility for a trip is 0. When there is no tripping is involved, when there is no initial trip we are providing to the pulse, only a Gaussian pulse with different duty cycles. What will be the impact of that? Okay, this we are checking. Again, this 33% duty cycle pulse is not able to withstand compared to the 66% in case of self phase modulation pulse. But again, in case of this case, we are getting 20, and in the earlier case, we are getting around 25 around for the same pulse. Okay, So we have observed that definitely in the induced trip pulse will provide you the some certain kind of benefit for long distance transmission. And this is again for the worst case, we can check that how much is the possibility when you see is your positive. That is maximum broadening is possible. Then what will be the impact? In this case, we are saying that that 33 is almost gone. So with these results, we can say that which type of pulse or which type of pulse shape is possible to use for long distance if your if your channel is only limited by non-linearity, that is self-phase modulation. Okay. Now adding to that, we try to add one more aspect, ASC noise. Okay, because ASC noise also a dominating factor. From where this ASC noise comes? If anyone is having idea, from this ASC noise comes in fiber links.
From the amplifier.
Right. From ED,
EDFA.
EDFAs, which are the, you can say, one of the prominent members of our optical link design. And we cannot avoid this amplified spontaneous emission noise. Okay. So to make it more real, you can say realistic type of link, what we have done is we include this ASC noise in this and again check this for the different trip values for this best suitable duty cycle pulse. So we have observed that in case of in the, you can say in the addition of ASC also, the duty cycle negative will be good for us and compared to the positive tripping. Okay, so 66% duty cycle pulse with a negative tripping will be a good candidate for transmission when your channel is limited with the ASC and self-phase modulation type of non-linearity. This is a linear effect. I'm trying to make you clear that this is a linear effect, and this comes because of the amplifiers, erbium doped fiber amplifier, which we use in the optical links. And this is the current nonlinear effective because of the intensity of the light. So this is the finding of this particular, you can say, analysis, that higher duty cycle pulses, that is 66%, perform better than the lower duty cycle pulses in the presence of self-phase modulation and ASC induced impairments, but the GVT is fully compensated in this case. And this performance is basically observed at the 1550 nanometer because the commercial systems are designed is 1550 nanometer. This is the window which we all are aware of, I believe. Now, another, you can say, type of pulse which we can observe is the duo-binary pulse shape. Can anyone tell what is the speciality of duo-binary pulse shapes? In this case, Gaussian pulse shape was used, RZ type of pulse shape we were using, and what are the problems in that case, and pre-chipping, how it can be helpful for that. Second type of pulse we are exploring is the duo-binary pulse shape. What is the speciality of duo-binary pulse shapes? If you have any idea, if anyone is having, or duo-binary is a pulse shape only used in the optical communication? No, this is first, you can say, explored in 1960s, right? So this was first explored in 1916 and definitely not for the optical communication. The wireless people used it very widely. So duo-binary, and the specialities of, you can say, duo-binary pulses, they will provide you the compact spectrum. Okay. And now in this case of duo-binary also, which one is better, NRZ or RZ? Now the question comes, better in terms of what? Better in terms of bandwidth occupation, that is spectrum efficiency, or better in terms of linear and non-linear effect, right? In case of optical communication, our main focus is always towards the which kind of pulse will be good for us for the long distance transmission, if we are talking about the link design. So in this case, if RZ and RZ is the pulse, which one will be better for non-linearities? If you have any idea, if anyone of you is having any idea, which will be better for non-linear impacts? Which pulse will perform better? And why?
RZ.
Yes, RZ. Why, sir, if you have any answer for this?
As I said, a small peak power or something. I'm not sure that is.
Yes, and but definitely answer is right that RZ is the preferred pulse shape that return to zero, right? And this one is, and in terms of bandwidth occupation, which one occupy the max more bandwidth compared to RZ and an RZ?
RZ.
Yes.
RZ is the more bandwidth.
Yes. So what we are saying is we are using something which will occupy more bandwidth, but will provide you better nonlinear you can say impact, withstand with the nonlinear impact. In case of optical communication, although there is no problem of bandwidth, but still we have to explore other options. But RZ definitely occupy more bandwidth, but it has the more capability for nonlinearities. And that is because of its shape, return to zero. And we'll discuss this. So in case of duo-binary also, we explored RZ and RZ pulse shape, and which will be better for long distance transmission and which will be better for dispersion as well as for nonlinearities. We'll check in that terms. Okay. So how to first, the problem is how to generate the duo-binary. Duo-binary, you can say precoders are required. This is done in the simulation aspect, or you can say these are the block diagrams which we designed during that. So in this case, basically to design the, if I would say, you can say, precoder is the word, if you people have heard of precoder word, anyone has explored it anywhere? Precoder word is used anywhere in the designing? Okay, let's forget about it. Is this that you can say we have the recorded data, that is we are applying the XOR form. This is a full block diagram I'm not going to make because this is another concept not related to exactly to the optical. This is a precoded pulse Bn, and the delayed version of n minus n will be sent to this XOR, and then we'll get this subsequent data stream of duo-binary pulse shape. And as I said, duo-binary pulse shape will be useful. It will provide you the compact pulse shape. That is the reason we are using it in this long distance transmission. While designing, we have observed that instead of just designing the duo-binary link, if we optimize the filters, electrical LPF filters at the transmitter side, at the, you can say at the transmitter side, and optical matched filters at the receiver side. Then this design will be much more, you can say, helpful for long distance transmission. Why these numbers are there? From where these numbers are coming? Let me tell you that we are designing this particular, you can say NRZ duo binary for 40 Gbps data rate. And theoretically, we are getting this, you can say optimization, bandwidth optimizations for duo binary. Is anyone having idea of filter optimization for duo binary? Duo binary pulse shape, how it looks? No. Okay. So this is the theoretical concept that for duo binary, theoretical limit should be 0.28b. This is your bit rate to 0.42b. This is a bit. So our case, it's your B is your 40 Gbps. We can change it for any other value. So through that, we are designing this concept. So as I always said, whatever we are doing the simulation, that is fine, but that will always be backed up with our theoretical concept. Whatever is there in the book, we have to back up with the concept. So we are optimizing this in the constant SNR, OSNR conditions. That is also important. If we are maintaining the 20 dB OSNR with the noise, you can say noise window of 0.1 nanometer, this will not be same for 15. This will not be same for 10. Okay, so we should know while designing that what all parameters we are looking for, what all parameters we are taking in the simulation. Otherwise, they will give you certain kind of results, right? So which type of electrical filter with the bandwidth we can use for RZ and RZ and NRZ, and at what stage? Okay, so this diagram is basically showing that LPF optimization. So through this LPF optimization for 40 GPF, we observe that 14.4 gigahertz is suitable. And if we go with this upper limit, is a 16 gigahertz. If we keep the bandwidth of this range, that will be good. Let's see how will be the results depend on this. Now the optical filter optimization. We optimize the transmitter side electrical filters. Now we check that on the same SNR, which type of optical filter at the receiver side we use, which will provide us the better option. So in this case, what we have done is we keep this 14.4 gigahertz at the transmitter side and try to optimize the optical filter at the receiver side for RZ and RZ pulses, right? So in this case, theoretically, they are saying this should be your match filter should be around 0.67 of bit rate. This is your bit rate, we can again saying. So for this, if we optimize for RZ and RZ, we are getting this 28 gigahertz. So now we have both the parameters for the transmitter side as well as for the receiver side. And now we can design our optical link for DO binary. Okay. One more parameter which we can always option that, okay, optical filters are there, but let's see what are the receiver sensitivity, which type of pulse will be better for receiver sensitivity in terms of. So this particular diagram is showing the receiver sensitivity when the optical filter is capped for 28 gigahertz. Your electrical filter is capped for 14.4 gigahertz and OSNR is fixed as 20 dB per 0.1 nanometer. So after this pre-processing, I would say, we designed this duo binary optical link for dispersion and you can say noise analysis only. In this case, in every block diagram, I'm showing you that this block diagram is not designed for SPM or any other nonlinearity. This link is only designed for dispersion related issues. What do you mean by dispersion? Not the nonlinearities. How we are making sure that nonlinearities are not there? Is there any option?
Power we can restrict.
Right. We are making sure that power should not increase to the desired limit so that there is no nonlinear effect comes into the picture. Okay, so this is the transmitter module, which was partially shown in the last slides also. So this variable optical attenuators, these are kept at every point of the link so that power should not increase at a desired level. So there is no nonlinear effect will come into the picture. So for dispersion limited condition, after having those LPF, those optical filters, we have observed that for two different OSNR conditions, that which pulse is performing better. Okay, so in this case, we have observed that this one is your duo binary RZ pulse for 15 dB OSNR. This one is your for 20 dB. That means what is the impact of OSNR here? Right, there is a change in the Q factor. Your x-axis is showing the fiber length. For 20 loops, we are checking this. When you increase the OSNR, there is an impact on Q. But the other interesting thing which we have observed that instead of RZ, NRZ is performing better in case of dispersion limited conditions of duo binary. And initially what we were saying, in case of nonlinearities, RZ is performing better. So the findings were very interesting. If you are using RZ and RZ in isolation, then definitely RZ is performing better. But if you are using duo binary RZ and RZ, this is not the case. And this is also depending on the OSNR conditions, right? So this is the OSNR, higher OSNR, and this is the lower OSNR. But definitely NRZ is better candidate for longer distance. Now, in the second part of analysis, we are doing is, in this case, we are providing the full compensation, only checking for the self-phase modulation, only because we are using only the single channel. We are not using the multiple channel. WDMs are not there. Okay, we are using only the single channel. So using dispersion compensating 5-way, we are completely, you can say, compensating the dispersion on only checking the self-phase modulation effect. And the you can say results are like this. In this case also, we can say that NRZ since in this case we have to introduce a non-linearity. So we are checking for 10 milliwatt, and extreme case is 100 milliwatt. Again for both RZ and RZ pulses, right? In this case, OSNR is fixed as 20 dB for both the conditions. So what we have seen that this blue one, this NRZ pulse, at almost every point there is a, you can say, performance is better, but at certain point there is a slip change, and that RZ start behaving better. Okay, and this phenomena occur at extreme condition at 100 milliwatt, but otherwise your NRZ is performing better for SPM condition as well, right? So in case of non-linearity as well, we are saying that duobinary NRZ is performing better compared to the duobinary RZ pulse shape in case of constant OSRR condition. This we have to maintain every point, and for this what we are doing, we are maintaining it, you can say, manually you have to check, and every way you have to observe, right? Optical amplifiers, we have to observe at every point that, okay, this OSNR is maintained or not. That is the reason these loops are used. This is not a single channel. You can say 20 loops are being used, and one loop is of 50 kilometer. Okay, let me tell you that one loop is of 50 kilometer. Now it's not possible that sometimes GVD is not there, or sometimes you can say SPM is not there. So what we have done is we have observed that include both the effects at a time. We are not compensating fully GVD, and we are not compensating the self-phase modulation. And then we observed that for 5 milliwatt, conditions, your SMF, you can say, in this case, again, we are saying that NRZ is better than RZ, but you can say that scale is different. So don't confuse with the scale. In this case also, we are saying your duobinary RZ condition is better, but we have not checked for 100 milliwatt. But girls, in the case of 100 milliwatt, it was not at all working. Maybe for lower loops, or you can say smaller loop, it may work, but we only check for 5. But definitely those who are working in this domain, they can check for 100. What is the impact of that? So with this analysis, we observe that if we keep the constant OSNR conditions, if we, you can say, check for the different condition or duobinary and NRZ or RZ, in case of only dispersion, in case of only self-phase modulation, which one will be better? Which pulse shape will withstand with the? But in this process, we must make sure that we have to use the proper filters for the type of bit rate you are using. Let's suppose, as I'm saying, this link is designed for 40 GPS. If you design it for 80, these parameters will change, but definitely theoretical concept will not change. You just have to substitute your bit rate, right? So these concepts are very much important. If these optimized filters are not kept at the transmitter and the receiver side, I don't think that this kind of behavior can be achieved. So those who are doing work in this, they can explore other things also, that with different OSNRs can be performed, or what are some other interesting aspect with the duobinary pulse shapes. This is just one aspect I'm explaining it here, right? Third type of pulse shape, we can say that as a differential quadrature phase shift key. Before using this in the case of optical, can anyone tell why DQPSK, why not QPSK is preferred? What is the difference between DQPSK and QPSK in terms of, you can say, link design? If I'll be clear about that, in terms of link design, is there any difference? Okay, let me again rephrase the question is, if I have to design the optical link, definitely I have to look after the transmitter side and the receiver side, right? If I'm using QPSK or if I'm using DQPSK, which will be beneficial for me, and in what condition? There is no absolute condition. I'm not saying that this will always be there and this will be you can say universal truth kind of thing is not there. I'm not saying that, but if I'm saying QPSK is having definitely some features, DQPSK is having some features. So do you know that speciality of DQPSK? Differential term. Is anyone not related to optical also? If DQPSK and PSK, the terms which we frequently use. So basically, we categorize them as a multi-level modulation techniques. It is one of the multi-level modulation techniques, right? And the advantage of this is we are not using the absolute phases. Okay, we are not encoding our information in the absolute phase, which is there in case of QPSK. We are using the difference of that, the differential of difference of phase between two consecutive symbols. Okay, and the advantage of not using the absolute phase is that we don't have to bother that much at the receiver side. Okay, so asynchronous reception is possible in case of DQPSK, and if asynchronous reception is possible, that means cost. But I'm not saying this is the best solution. Synchronous receivers have their own benefit, their own, you can say, advantages, and people are using it.
conventional का means का लेने की तरह
Is there any question, Abhishek?
No, madam.
Okay, so this was the aspect I was mentioning, that this is the reason that differential quadrature phase shift keying is useful, because we can use the asynchronous receivers in that case, because we are not encoding our symbol, encoding our information in the absolute phase, but we are encoding in the phase difference. Okay, the phase difference. So absolute phase detection is not our concern at the receiver side also. So that is the advantage of using DQPSK. So this is the transmitter, or you can say this is the link design model of the DQPSK. So in this case, again, PRBS will provide you the data sequences for the precoder. Precoders are always used. All of you explore that why these precoders are there. In case of DO binary also, I was saying, in case of DQPSK also, I am saying. Okay, so precoders have special conditions. Precoding encode the data in signals from the different PRBS systems, and this RZ drivers will convert this to electrical. This is your electrical, and this modulator will provide you the, this is our carrier, you can say. Okay, so all parameters we have to design according to our you can say, if you are, again I'm saying all these designings are 15 nanometer. Okay, and this is for 40 Gbps again. So accordingly we set all the parameters in this block diagram. One more thing we included in this, along with that, you can say modulation, different type of modulation, we use different fibers. First type of fiber we always use is a standard single mode, definitely there. To compensate the dispersion, we use this length of the dispersion for this particular. Then this is the second class of fiber. This is the second type of fiber, TWRS type of fiber. Okay, so this kind of fiber also we used in this designing. And for that, this data we have taken from the data sheet of the fiber, you can say, commercial fibers. Okay, so we are using this data from the commercial fiber. So this the DCF for we are taking it. And then leaf type of fiber. Commercial fiber is having commercial fiber is having 0.2 dB per kilometer loss. SSMF is we are taking is 0.22 because from Corning we are taking this, right? So this is your large effective area fiber, and this is the DCF compensation for this particular fiber. These are the effective areas which we have considered for this particular design. Okay. So again, in this case of different duty cycle, if we observe a particular type of fiber, and we have observed that which type of duty cycle is performing better in case of this type of designing is which we are doing is for linear and non-linear effect. Either we are compensating or we are not compensating, that also we have to check. So in this case, we are just compensating. Okay. In both, you can say only SPM is involved. That means we are providing the full compensation, and OSR conditions we are checking, and we observe that 90% duty cycle pulse is performing better for this particular fiber. Okay, all other pulse are Q factor. Definitely we have to achieve 6 minimum, and then we are checking that 90%, or you can say almost 80 and 90% duty cycle performance is similar. Same type of observation is observed in case of leaf. Okay, in this case also larger duty cycle pulses are performing better, and that SSMF is the design which we've used in almost every pulse shape. Then what is the specialty in 70, 80 and 90% duty cycles? So for that we have observed that because all three are getting almost similar results, so which one we should choose for the transmission? So for that we observe the spectrum of all the three. Okay, so in the spectrum we have certain kind of insight that if there is a large spike in the spectrum, or you can say large slight lobes are there, then the performance is lower for that particular duty cycle. Otherwise performance is better. So in case of 80 and 90, almost similar type of spikes are there. So that is the reason very similar approach, or you can say very similar performance of this particular duty cycles has been observed. So the spectrum analysis is also important for us, that what is the specialty, but where in case of, you can say that in case of 70%, these side lobes are very high, where in case of 70, 80 and 90, these side lobes are lower. This main lobe is at higher end. Okay, this is what I'm saying. So that is the reason we have to choose proper duty cycle, proper OSNR, proper type of fiber that will be good for us for the long distance transmission. So after that, we did it for 100 loops. Okay, and we observed that which one is performing better, with the, followed by DCF of appropriate length for all the fiber. Okay, so we have observed that this black one is for standard single mode fiber, this red one is for TWRS, and this blue one is for leaf type of fiber. So till certain loops, some particular fiber is performing better. After certain distance, some other performing better. So in this case, we have to come up with one solution. We don't have one solution for all. We can say that if we have to, because definitely there is a cost change in that. This large effective area fiber are the costlier compared to SSMF. Okay, so if we have long distance transmission, let's suppose we have a cost, then we go for the leaf fiber. If we don't have that much cost, and we can say that we can compromise with that much, you can say quality, we can go for SSMF, because that quality is not very much Detroit. Okay? So we have to observe, and we have to put our work in that according to the user's demand. This is the finding for this particular, you can say, analysis. So this is the link performance analysis, RZ. Okay, this is again that, okay. This was the end of the single link design. After that, since single link designs are again 40 Gbps and 100 Gbps, increasing is again a challenge. So what we have done is we designed the transmitter for dual polarization. That means we are using the polarization concept again. Okay, So we are encoding the information in the dual polarized module. So DQPSK is definitely there. Dual polarized we are trying to find out. So we design this transmitter. So 102 Gbps is the bit rate for single, and we use 9 of such channels. That means we are designing WDM links in polarized form. Okay, and single link is having this. So main constraint comes here in that the type of filters. If we design the filters according to our proper, you can say, bandwidth requirement, then only this kind of WDM systems are possible, otherwise not. Okay, then again we designed this for 3 different pulse shapes: NRZ pulse shape, full duty cycle, RZ50 and RZ67%. Which one perform better? Okay, so before launching the transmitter or before using the pulse, we observe their spectrum, that which one is better. In this case, we have observed that side lobes are there. RZ50 is much better. RZ67 compared to NRZ, they have less side lobes. So after observing the spectrum also, we can predict that which type of pulse will perform better, right? That also we can observe from the pulse shapes. But before this, we launched the pulses. In this case, only the link is designed for ASE limited conditions. Only ASE noise is there, or every other aspect is being compensated. Okay, so if every other aspect is being compensated, we have observed that interleaved and aligned. That means anyway we have to find out the long distance transmission. If we can use different pulse shape, we can use different, you can say, modulation techniques. If we manipulate our signal in such a way, because our topic is also like different pulse shapes for long distance. Okay, so we have observed that your aligned RZ50, right? This solid lines are for aligned, and this dotted line are for interleaved. Okay, so this RZ1 will perform better, okay, in case of interleaved RZ50. Okay, and again we can check that interleaved RZ67, this black one, dotted one I'm saying this is for interleaved, and solid one is for aligned. Okay, so we have observed that for optical fiber links of 1000, we have observed this kind of phenomena. Okay, so in this case we have observed that interleaved perform better and RZ67 perform better compared to RZ60 and NRZ. Through this spectrum also we can observe the same. Okay, because if side lobes are there, definitely they will create a problem in long distance transmission. Similar kind of phenomena we have observed for different conditions. This is only for ASE limited. Then we introduce certain kind of dispersion in those channels, there's 9 channels. So we introduce GVD, that is group velocity dispersion, and we observe the same phenomena for interleaved and aligned pulses. And again, we have observed that in case of GVD performance, this one is performing better. And this is what? Interleaved RZ50 pulse. Okay. Aligned pulse are comparatively less performers compared to interleaved. Okay, so we can say that interleaved pulses are performing better compared to the aligned one, right? Then, because this is a multiple channels, WDM system is there, so we are checking it for XPM as well, cross phase modulation we used to call it. And here also, again, interleaved pulses are performing better, right? And most of the time, RZ50 or 67 compared to the NRZ. So we have to observe in this case. Sometime when we are using with the case of duo binary, RZ is performing better. In case of this, I think there's a question, chat box. Name of the tool. Okay. No, no, sir. This is not basically from OptiWave. This I use basically OptiSim from Synopsys. But definitely OptiWave is also having these same, you can say, features. Then we can use that tool as well for our designing, because just we have to back up our theoretical aspect. If we can, I think in yesterday's lecture, someone asked that, will that be applicable for publication? Definitely they will be applicable for publication. Only thing is we have to provide us proper theoretical concept. Okay, then definitely it will be acceptable in the good publications. Okay. Is there any question on? No, sir, it is not available. No, Tanuja, it's not available free. It's a licensed software. Both of them are basically licensed softwares. But I think OptiWave is providing some kind of free tools. I'm not very sure, but I heard that OptiWave is providing, because we have one more lab session also. In that evaluation version I have downloaded, in that we try to design the links. So in that OptiWave is there, but that is also not free, or that we have to observe. But again, if something is not free, then we have to go for the MATLAB. So in this case, I'll show you these things, but I think today's lecture is supposed to be end right now. These things we have done in the MATLAB. So we have to search that which one is available to you, and especially those who are doing PhD. If I'm telling for them, if we have to finish our PhD, we have to look after the things which are available, right? So this we have done in the MATLAB. This soliton communication, soliton communication. So this, but this one is I am done in the Optisim. So for this lecture, if you have any question, because I believe because in lab session I'll complete the other part also. For this session, you have any questions till now, other than what we have already discussed?
Ma'am, I have one question regarding this session.
Yes, Abhishek ji.
Ma'am, actually, you have discussed that RZ DQPSK scheme, in which SSMF is considered to be a better as compared to TWSRS and LEAF because of 80% duty cycle. So you have analyzed for 10 Gbps link, right, ma'am?
No, it was for
So
40 Gbps, sir.
it is for 40 Gbps.
Yes.
Okay. So if I am increasing my line, suppose I am going for the 100 GPON link, which has 100 Gbps of speed.
Right.
So in that case, this scheme is equally applicable, ma'am, there.
No. In fact, we have observed that SSMF and this LEAF are almost comparable in that risk. We have to, again, for 100, definitely there is you can do double or more than that, there is a change. So I'm not exactly, we cannot say that for 100 also that will be applicable same. We have to explore that.
Okay.
Because 100 is totally different things are there.
Yes, ma'am. You have one research paper in Elsevier, no, ma'am, in 2013.
Yes.
That.
But 100 is like this, DQPSK dual polarized is for 112, right?
Okay.
This one is for 112, sir. But in this case, I cannot say that SSMS will always perform better, and LEAF will always perform better. But we have to explore that. It could be or it could not be.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
So any other question for this session? Those who are doing, I think, a PhD, they can have questions that how can we publish and how can we explore the other. Will they be able to relate? Because I know faculty members are much more having understanding of this kind of concept. But those who are trying. Thank you, sir. Thank you. If you get any information, because I think today's session, the problem was initial miscommunication. Sir was not able to join. So I think 3 o'clock we'll meet. Okay. So next session we will start at 3. And sorry for the initial delays. Half an hour you people waited